another episode of The Positive Side. This is Ann DeSantis, your host, and I'm joined by a really great guest once again. I have an author and a speaker and also a campus minister. She was also a recent guest on another news show on RVNTV called In God We Trust with Magdalene Riggins. And Magdalene was also a returning guest on this show. So Christine, thank you so much for joining me today.
And you're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So it's really great to talk to you. We have something in common. Christine is the Director of Campus Ministry at Gwynedd Mercy University. That is actually my alma mater. It's my husband's alma mater and also my daughter. You know my daughter, Sean, who's a sophomore.
I do.
So I want to first start by thanking you for doing such a great job at the university. And I know that on a personal level, you've really helped my daughter who's been involved in campus ministry. So thank you for your outreach to her and the wonderful activities that you've provided.
Oh, thank you. And it is an absolutely wonderful place to work.
I can tell. I can tell. So tell us about that. I know that one of the things that we had discussed before was the benefits to what we would consider a Mercy education. Gwynedd Mercy University is considered one of the Mercy colleges or universities. So
it is.
Tell us about that.
Sure. We really understand ourselves to be part of what we call the living mercy story. It goes all the way back to the foundation of the Sisters of Mercy in Dublin, Ireland by Catherine Macaulay in the early 1800s. And our students learn about Catherine. They learn her story, they are motivated by her, and through our curriculum they learn about the critical concerns of the Sisters of Mercy today. They learn about, let's see if I can do it on the spot, they learn about earth and immigration and nonviolence and racism and women. And they really weave that in and out of all their curricular and co-curricular experiences. It's delightful.
It really is. And I can say that I was a graduate in the late 80s, and I'm so grateful for that education and that my daughter is there too. Yeah. So let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
Well, on this show we like to talk about life, faith, and mission. That's part of the positive side. So I wondered if we could just start with anything that you'd want to share about your own life and faith journey with us.
Sure. Oh my goodness. So I'm a graduate of St. Joe's University, St. Joseph's in Philadelphia, where I started off as an English major and then fell in love with campus ministry. And that encouraged me to pick up theology as a double major. And I went on to volunteer as a full-time volunteer at a soup kitchen, homeless shelter for a year, do a year as a hospital chaplain, and study pastoral ministry up at Boston College, and eventually spend now 26 years as a working campus minister.
I congratulate you. And I know that you have met some terrific young people and also the staff there at the university. And you're really touching lives in what you're doing. Can you share with us what it has been like just meeting a lot of the people that you've interacted with, prayed with, shared your life experiences with and their life experiences? What has that been like for you?
Well, especially in these last 15 years at Gwynedd, to be able to interact with people very intentionally around the charism of mercy has just been a really moving experience. My favorite definition of mercy comes from Sister Marilyn Lacey, who founded an organization called Mercy Beyond Borders. And she says this. She says, mercy is nothing more and nothing less than responding in practical ways to needs that are known. And I really watch our students learn that, whether they are studying nursing or business or education or criminal justice. They're learning to spot the need and the real need, because responding to needs that are known means you really need to know the need. You can't presume. You can't just do what you think would make you happy to do. I see that, for example, one of my favorite things that I do with students is to go on these alternative spring break service experiences. And unlike schools who maybe will do, Project Appalachia or Habitat for Humanity, which are wonderful things, we we always try to go someplace where there is a real strong connection to the Sisters of Mercy. And so just a couple weeks ago, I was with students in Cincinnati, Ohio. And one of the things we did was we went to a place called the Free Store Food Bank, like our Philabundance here in Philadelphia. And we helped pack over 1,400 power packs. There are these bags of 14 nutritious food items that teachers give to their students on Friday afternoons, just in case they're not going to get nutritious food at home before they come back to school for breakfast on Monday morning.
I love it.
Yeah. Now, our students would have loved to have handed out the power packs. You know, it would have been so joyful and rewarding
to see their eyes.
To see the eyes of the children, right? Except, you know what? That's not what the Free Store needed us to do. The Free Store needed us to crank out 1,400 power packs. And it's not even what the children needed. They didn't need to get these things from total strangers, you know, coming in to view the objects of their charity. They needed to get them from their teachers who know them and love them, you know. And so even though it would have made our students happy to do that, they were very willing to just meet the need, do what needed to be done.
That's called doing God's will.
Yes.
I think.
Absolutely.
And just stepping back a little bit, when you were talking about mercy, it reminds me of the message of our current Holy Father, Pope Francis, as well. I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yes, we actually, we alternate Pope Francis quotes on the back of our alternative spring break t-shirts. He said that we are to be islands of mercy in the midst of a sea of indifference. Beautiful.
Touches my heart.
Yeah, yeah. And then he's...
And soul.
Yeah, and he also said, a little bit of mercy makes the world less cold and more just. So we try to be both those things.
Thank you. I know that I have the perpetual calendar at home for him, and every day is similar quotes as to what you're reciting.
Yeah.
So thank you. Now, we have a lot more to talk about, because not only is Christine the Director of Campus Ministry at Gwynedd Mercy University, and for those of our viewers who aren't from the Philadelphia area, Gwynedd Mercy University is located outside of the Philadelphia area in the suburbs, sort of north and west outside of Philadelphia. So if you've never heard of it before, be sure to check it out. What is their website? Maybe you can let us know.
It's www.gmercyu.edu.
That's what I thought it was, but I thought it'd be better coming from you. So Christine is also a retreat master, and she is an author. And that is a lot of what we're going to discuss today, is the fact that Christine has written a new book, and I love this book. It is called Finding God in Ordinary Time. Now, I'm just going to read a little bit from the back of the book. Is that an author, public speaker, and educator, Christine Eberle passionately explores the connection between scripture, spirituality, and everyday life. Her 25-year career as a college campus minister has given her countless opportunities to ask her favorite question: where is God in all this? And to listen for answers in surprising places. I just had to read that. When I read it, I thought, that is you. And there's a picture of the book. Oh. Tell our viewers where they can find the book, Christine.
Sure. Well, they can go to my website, which is Christine-Marie-Eberle.com. If you go there, you can purchase it through my local independent bookstore, the Open Book Bookstore in Elkins Park, and we'll send you a signed copy. But
like that.
Isn't that nice? Yeah. But it's also available on any online retailer, and I would certainly encourage people to go to their own local independent bookstore if you're lucky enough to have such a thing.
Thank you. Now this book is a daily meditational. And I just like the way that Christine has divided up some of the chapters in this book. For instance, in part 1, we say, awake to see. Part 2, messengers of grace. Part 3, far from home. And part 4, working it out. So tell us, what was it like for you to write this book?
This was a fascinating experience to write this book. I started, and you stop me whenever you need to, because you know I can really go on about this. I started this book almost 10 years ago. I had a friend who was an acquisition editor for a press, and he said, "I know you have a book in you. What is it?" And I started to work on it, and Actually, what I said was, give me the weekend. I need to go home and pray about this and fool around, and there were some spreadsheets involved. And really, I pitched to him this very book. I began writing the reflections, and the structure came to me pretty easily. The idea that I wanted each day to have a scripture quote, you know, a short scripture quote, something to really ground people. And then a story from real life, you know, because I find storytelling to be so helpful.
It is.
And then a little bit of wisdom, and then some questions for personal reflection, so people could really, you know, make the associations with their own lives, make those connections for themselves.
I think one of the best things that I like about the book is, if you're a person of faith, this book is for you. But even if you are on the fringes of that, or maybe even away from the faith, this is a great book because it will lead you back to God.
Yes.
It really does.
Yes.
And just that belief in His presence in your life. That's the one thing that I've gotten from reading this book.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Yeah, I say that my desire is to feed the faithful, certainly, but to offer spiritual nourishment to people skeptical or weary of religion, because so many people are feeling that way these days.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean they should be estranged from God.
That is right.
Yeah.
And you have done a very good job with that. Now, we do have to take a break.
Okay.
So I want to thank you for this interview so far. We have a lot more to talk about. We're really going to delve in to finding God in ordinary time. Join us in a few minutes on The Positive Side.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write, the ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry.
Hi, welcome back to The Positive Side. Ann DeSantis, your host. And as I've said many times before, this show is all about the many aspects of positivity. And part of that is faith. And that's why I have with me Christine Eberle. She is the Director of Campus Ministry at Gwynedd Mercy University. And for those who don't know where that is, it's north and west outside of the Philadelphia area. So if you've never heard of Gwynedd Mercy, be sure to check it out at gmercyu.edu. So, and I'm also a graduate. My husband is, and so is my daughter, Sean, and she loves it, by the way.
I'm so glad.
And she's also very thankful for Christine because she's involved in campus ministry, too. And you've done such a wonderful job with the students there. Now, before we took a break, we were talking about Christine's new book, and it's called Finding God in Ordinary Time by Christine Marie Eberle, and it's daily meditations. So we have a graphic there of what the book looks like. And Christine, before the break, was telling us how people can purchase that book, which is from the online store on your own website.
Yes, they can go to Christine-Marie-Eberle.com.
Okay.
Or just Google it.
That's right. Now, I know we have a couple graphics too, so let's take a look at those if we could. Of Christine, there she is. And what is this one, Christine?
That was my very first book event at St. Monica's Parish in Berwyn at their Walking with Purpose group. It's my very first book signing, and it never gets old.
And how was it meeting some of the people who are getting a hold of that book maybe for the first time and it's excited?
It's just thrilling. And these are people that I had really walked with for a while along the journey of publication, so I was thrilled to be able to have my first event there.
I have a feeling it's not the first one. I think you're going to have many more.
Many more.
And here we have another one. Now this is the Midwest Book Review Small Press Book Watch. Says Finding God in Ordinary Time is an extraordinary, life-affirming, inspired and aspiring, making it an ideal and unreservedly recommended addition to personal church and community library contemporary religion and spirituality collections. Highly recommended. Yes. January 2019. Wow, that's a good one.
Go tell your librarian friends.
That's right. Now, I will also say I have been blessed enough, lucky enough that Christine gave me a copy of the book. So I can't say enough. I've had several authors on this show. And this really, honestly, Christine, and I mean this is one of my favorites. Aww. So I thank you for this book.
I'm so glad.
Now, I know you're going to read for us an excerpt from it.
Sure.
So I'm really excited for you to share that with us.
And what we talked about was, especially in the context of my work at Gwynedd Mercy, let's go right to the chapter called Finding God in Mercy. This chapter was set, these are all true stories from my own life, and this one was set long before I came to Gwynedd, when I was in my volunteer year, right after college. So keep in mind there, I am 22 when this story takes place. And the quote that begins is, "Have mercy on me, God, in accord with your merciful love," from Psalm 51. Her name was Melody, and her tune was sadder than a country song in a minor key. She was young and homeless, sobbing and shaking, badly beaten up and outrageously drunk. And deciding what to do with her fell to me. Did I mention it was only 10 in the morning? I had been the administrative assistant at the street center for just a few months, but our director was away and the social workers who shared the building with us were in a long staff meeting. So around and around and around the block, Melody and I walked. I tried to talk her into going to the police station for help. I tried to talk her out of going to the liquor store for more wild Irish rose. Finally, I persuaded her to just sleep it off on our office couch instead. 30 years later, I can still remember how moved I was as I watched her relax in that safe space. I remember how heartsick I felt when she woke up and went straight back to the guy who had just lost his temper all over her face. And I keenly remember how much trouble I was in when the head social worker discovered what I had done. Didn't I know that clients, whom our agency called guests, were not allowed in the building visibly drunk? Didn't I know that the professionals were aware of Melody's situation? Didn't I know that sometimes people needed to hit rock bottom for a change to occur? In retrospect, I can see it from her perspective. I was a 22-year-old suburban girl with zero social work training, undoing her work while her back was turned. I'm pretty sure I would do it again. I work for a university sponsored by the Sisters of Mercy now, and I find myself in a lot of conversations about what mercy means. The simplest definition I hear is meet the need, which, as I understood it that day, was a good dose of kindness and a safe place to sleep. And for the record, when my director got back to the building, he vigorously affirmed my choice. I've also heard that mercy means giving someone the break they don't deserve. But here's the thing, we rarely deserve it. Who among us hasn't messed up, said or done things that still make us cringe, or hurt people we love? Who hasn't needed a little tenderness before the tough love could sink in? The only difference is that Melody's private drama was enacted on a public stage, mostly for lack of a safety net. No one merits mercy. It flows from the heart of God freely to each of us. How can we be stingy when we have an opportunity to share it?
It's so beautiful. I can picture the scene, and I'm sure that people listening can, take that to heart.
Yeah.
How many times in our day do we see people that we may judge or just think, I want nothing to do with that person? And just hearing that, it's the human connection.
Yeah.
Kindness, reaching out. It doesn't mean that you have to give them $1 million, but just making them know, that you're there.
Yeah.
And you're praying and you care. Caring is just such a big thing that I don't think many people really understand, just knowing that somebody cares when you're in a bad place.
Yeah. Catherine Macaulay, back to her, said, "There are 3 things the poor prize more highly than gold, though they cost the rich nothing. The kind word, the compassionate look, and the patient hearing of their sorrows." Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got sorrows. And many of us are often not patient enough to listen for that, but are too quick to judge and to dismiss. We very much want people to respect our story and to give us a break, but we have to be willing to extend that to other people as well.
And you do. I know that just because I know you from Gwynedd Mercy and what you've done to help my daughter just as she was a transitioning student from another college, or we'll say university. So, so thank you for sharing that. Now, that's just a wonderful example of the stories in this book, and they're all very personal.
They really are. They're a little self-disclosing, I must say. Yeah.
I thought I'd read one of on the back of cover, Brother Mickey McGrath. He is for OSFS artist, author, and storyteller. He said about the book, "This is the perfect book for any adult in search of an adult relationship with an adult God. Filled with deep insight and humor, it will gently enliven the hearts of those who are spiritual but not religious, as well as those who are religious but not spiritual. No matter the stage in your prayer journey, this lovely book will speak to you." I think it will. I would highly recommend it.
Oh, that warms my heart. And I love the fact that he mentions humor, because there's a certain lightness to it in a lot of places. Just before it came out, Amazon called it, and this cracks me up, the #1 new release in religious humor.
Oh, really?
I thought, I don't know where they're getting it. There are 4 mothers with cancer in 28 chapters. Okay, this is not a book of Jesus knock-knock jokes. But Amazon picked up on it, and what do they say? There's no such thing as bad publicity.
That's right. Now, the book was published by, was it Green Place Books?
Green Place Books, part of Green Writers Press in Brattleboro, Vermont.
Okay, tell us about that experience.
Sure. I had gone on a writer's retreat that was not a religious retreat, and was invited to enter into a writing competition, a juried writing competition, where one of the judges turned out to be the publisher of Green Writers Press. I didn't win the competition, but Dee Dee fell in love with the book and offered to publish it anyway, and I'm so grateful.
And God had a plan there, because you had your book published by them.
And it's enabled me to reach people
terrific.
who never would have gotten the book if it were tucked away in a little Catholic bookstore.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, I cannot believe it. I say this every single show that the time has just gone by
Here we are.
so quickly. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to our viewers before we end?
Just that I really encourage people not only to read the book if they can, but to let them know I do offer retreats and talks and days and evenings of reflection. So if you're connected to a parish or an organization that might be able to use me, please do visit my website and click on the speaking page and see what's a possibility.
Thank you. Christine, thank you. Come back again.
I sure will.
For Christine Eberle and myself, for The Positive Side, have a great day.